Okay, I've got 9:02. I will call the meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda or changes to the agenda that need to be discussed now rather than as they come up? I know we have an issue with tabling item number 9. Hearing none, I would. Carl is on, okay, still connecting by audio.
Yeah.
Carl, are you on?
There we go. Now I think, Carl, can you hear us?
Yeah, or.
Carl Elgavold.
Okay, I'm on.
All right,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
there you go.
Thank you. We've called the meeting to order and we're looking for approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve. Was that a second, Carl?
Pardon?
Was that a second to approve the agenda?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Okay, claims have been around and signed. Open forum for public input. Rita, are you here to talk to us today specifically?
Well, I'm just here to answer your questions that you have.
Very good.
So if we can wait till we get to the agenda item about hiring Allers and
Yes, ma'am.
Cooney, or I can
Yes,
talk
ma'am.
now, whatever you like.
Yep. Robert, did you have anything for us? Yes.
Carl, do you want to mute yourself, please? Okay, much better.
You want to do
Okay,
that?
Kelby Winger. Don't know who that is.
Bypass the minutes.
Robert Bob. And I know who that is. All right, moving on to
Number 3,
items.
number 3.
Number 3. Oh, excuse me. Approve the minutes of last week. Betty, if you would please read the minutes of the March 13th meeting. My apologies.
All right, March 13th, 2023, Chairman Cluse called the regular meeting of the Wright County Board of Supervisors to order at 9 a.m. Members present were Cluse, Rasmussen, and Helgebold. Motion by Rasmussen, seconded by Helgebold to approve the tentative agenda. Motion carries. In open forum, Tony Nicholas, Wright County Assessor, introduced Mindy Lotes as the new clerk data collector in the assessor's office. Deb Lucas, Deputy Auditor, presented to the board 4 options for the county health insurance. The base rate for the insurance has increased by 13%. With the increase, the employee share and the side fund that pays the buy downs will need to increase. Out of the 4 options, option 2 will increase the side fund by a greater amount. Motion by Helgebold, seconded by Rasmussen to approve option 2 of the county health insurance. Motion carries. Motion by Rasmussen, seconded by Helgebold to adjourn the meeting. Motion carries.
Okay, are there any additions or corrections to the minute? Hearing none, they'll stand approved as read. Okay, item 6 is Brian Jensen, EMS Director. I think he's going to be here in about 7 minutes. We will move on to item number 7. Review and consider taking action on the representation letter from Allers Cooney Law Firm in the matter of hazardous liquid pipeline and construction and review of ordinances, permits, and regulations. I had approached Tim Whipple from Allers and Cooney after the March, after the January 13th meeting, I believe it was. where he was present there with, Steve, Kinkle from Shelby County. I had an opportunity to participate in the Iowa Utility Board's meeting on March 15th. Myself and everybody else that was there was a lawyer. Which I think it's important for us to have representation that concerns the issues and that is concentrating on the issues that are being discussed there. So I asked them to send us an engagement letter, which they did, that I've reviewed, and it's been sent to the other supervisors. Did you have an opportunity
Yes.
to review it?
Yep.
Carl, have you had an opportunity to review that?
Yes, I did.
Are there any questions concerning that? I did receive a email this morning from Chris Bossert, who is the CEO and general manager for Gold Eagle Cooperative. And I'll share that with you this morning. Good morning, gentlemen. I understand that you'll be taking a vote today to engage in attorney representation for Wright County. I would urge you to consider costs and benefits to our county. The attorneys want our money and they will continue to push for more. Other counties are already going down that road. Let them spend their money and see if there is a path. If the Iowa House takes up the bill for a vote, it could also significantly impact the future of projects. Summit seems very willing to continue to dialogue and support counties that are interested in understanding all aspects of the project. If we as a county have attorneys that are fighting them, we'll end up with lawsuits on both sides. Signed, Chris Bossert. I'd ask if there's any other input.
You know, Chris, of course, always has great input, and I would agree with him that you're watching similar situations play out in other counties, and there's absolutely no harm in waiting to see what happens there. You know, additionally, I do think, Dean, you and I have had a couple of great conversations, and I think there's more information that can be had and can be discussed with the supervisors before you make a choice like this. You know, we're happy to, we're happy to sit down in any capacity to answer any questions and go through any of that math. We have a gentleman who worked for the DNV that, you know, you've seen that study that is about how quickly carbon dioxide goes back into the atmosphere once it is released out of a pipeline. We have the math, and we also have a gentleman who worked with the DNV on creating that study. And we would be happy to set up an opportunity for him to talk as well. To answer any and all questions that you have before you make a choice like this. Then that would be my recommendation and my request.
Yeah, I guess my thought isn't that I am fighting Carbon Summit Solutions. My thought is that I am ensuring that the citizens and the landowners of Wright County are being fairly represented in front of the Iowa Utility Board.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would ask that same question, which to me is a circular argument. Why do you have attorneys that are in front of the Iowa Utility Board?
Well, because we are seeking a permit.
Right.
And so that is our job, is to seek that, you know, we are seeking a permit through the Iowa Utilities Board. And, you know, Tim Whipple is already getting paid and he's already gonna be there.
Mhm.
And so, you know.
But not representing Wright County or the concerns of Wright County.
Correct. From the discussions you and I have had, I would say that your concerns are similar to concerns that are happening elsewhere in this state. And like I said, you know, we are happy to answer any questions that you have here today, any other time. We're happy to sit down over coffee, and I'm happy to produce an expert who has a heck of a lot more information on the dispersion of carbon dioxide than I do. I am not an engineer, but there are a lot of people who can help.
Yeah, and you provided me, or Kelsey Lang provided me a copy of that study that you cite. Which initially I had done some math errors and was wrong on the total distance that study represents. Using the correct procedures in converting that to mileage. I forget what Kelsey's numbers came out to, like
2.82 or something, yeah.
2.82 miles of 8.5-inch pipe is what the volume, total volume in that experiment represents. Again, my concern is that I'm not certain that you can represent, that that's a linear representation to say, okay, if I do the math and I figure out the total volume in a 10-inch pipe over our longest stretches from just outside of Goldfield to the west side of Highway 69, which is about 14.8 miles as the crow flies. So,
Between valves, you're saying,
pardon me,
between valves.
between safety valves, right, which are shut-off valves, which my understanding is if you have a sudden pressure loss, those valves will close.
Correct.
And the only thing that's gonna come out is what's in the pipe.
Correct.
And so that would represent on a
1.91.
on a 10-inch pipe, which is the one, the lengthiest pipe that we have. I don't know that it's the largest volume. But that experiment would be equate to 1.9 miles would be the volume where we actually have almost 15 miles of pipeline.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm
I think
saying?
following what you're saying.
Okay.
I would have to have someone, like I said, a lot better at math than I am to
Absolutely.
do that math to confirm
understand
with you
that.
what you're saying, but
And then on the 16-inch pipe, it would equate to 3/4 of a mile of pipe. So if that experiment, instead of using the 8.5 pipe,
yeah, and I respect what you're saying. I think the most important thing to, my biggest takeaway from that is how quickly it goes back into the atmosphere, right?
and again, that would be dependent on the atmospheric conditions.
Right.
So I know that there is software out there called is it Aloha. Adam serves on the local volunteer fire department.
Okay.
And they've had presentations from the hazmat team out of Fort Dodge, that they utilize that kind of software to determine, okay, what's the safe area for us to go into, whether it's natural gas or whether it's CO2. And so I'm gonna take a look at that information. But I guess, yeah, I feel that we need to have that the county needs to be represented.
Do we know the pressure of the pipe? What's what's the pressure is gonna be?
Just under 22,000
Yeah, right.
PSI,
2200.
2,200, excuse me.
Mhm.
Yeah. Robert, I can see that you have something to say.
I would encourage you to go with them because I'll just tell you my example. I still can't believe that Bruce Rastetter is dealing with people that keep saying like she is, well, I don't have correct information or knowledge and stuff. Now, just a minute, please. I found out at our town meeting we had, they called in all the Summit people they could in the neighborhood, plus a few outside ones. They don't even know what double ditching means. Because literature I was given almost 2 years ago. And I have a copy of my appendix C, which I can make a deal with them that Iowa code says. You have to have 50 feet, take all the dirt off, the good dirt, pile it over in the other 50 feet, which they want 2 years on the temporary. A gal from Summit told me we're double ditching across the whole state, which they are not, because if you sign off double ditching, whatever their bucket is, it's 18 inches, they'll just take off the top 18 inches, it's very specific. And they'll just dig that up. I can't get anybody to tell me, which I want you guys to do too, is what are you gonna do under those two 16-inch tile that aren't mine, they're the district tile. One person says we're gonna dig down to them, dig down the side, go under them. The other person says we're gonna just, oh no, when we get to it, we'll bore, which would take a 20 by 20 roughly, 10 foot deep at least, to bore under this county tile. Or they're gonna do what they've done over in Franklin County. They hit an old I don't even know what they call it. It's like a silo tile. There aren't many of them in the state, but there's a few.
There's one
We
in the
had
north.
one.
Yeah, we've seen
We
one.
got one here.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well,
I don't know that the pipeline would be impacted, but I've seen them, yes.
well, the windmill people, they just went. So I don't know how you, it can be repaired somehow.
Right.
It's gonna be very tricky. And that's, you know, not just for me, it's the district tile I'm worried about. The small tile, I'm pretty sure that they can fix one way or the other, but these county, 100-year-old county tile are a whole nother ballgame. And nobody's got any data on that because you don't know what you're gonna hit until you get there. So I would encourage you to, if I'm gonna pay taxes in Wright County, which Chris Brochart, you know, he lives in Ames, so he doesn't pay any taxes here. He works here and goes home.
Okay,
So as a taxpayer and a landowner that's being impacted, go for it, please.
any other input?
I do.
Yes,
So this representation letter, from Allers and Cooney is explicit on helping develop local ordinances pertaining to the use of land for pipelines within the county, the development of local ordinances pertaining to the use and control of the public right-of-way by pipeline companies. And then also it does state about participating in pending contested case permit proceedings before the Iowa Utilities Board, of which they already been engaging
correct.
with other counties. So, and then it has 4 different bullet points as to what is going to be included. And what they're going to do. Sorry, I should have checked that off. We understand the representation in this matter to include the following responsibilities: attend regular and special meetings of the Board of Supervisors and other meetings with state officials or pipeline company representatives as necessary, and in each instance, as may be requested by the county, review, draft, and if applicable, negotiate ordinances and resolutions, advise the county on legal and regulatory matters related to the pipeline regulation, permits, local ordinances, and county home rule authority, represent the county in contested case and administrative rulemaking matters before the Iowa Utilities Board, including any pending permit proceedings. I know that our ordinances are not up to where they should be, and there's probably some resolutions that need to be looked at. I understand that they will not be doing our drainage
That is
drainage.
correct. They will not, we will have a representation through David Johnson for
For
our
drainage districts,
That's
for
right. They
drainage
are not-
districts. That's not their specialty.
No,
So, so just FYI, you know,
Okay.
for drainage districts, Dave Johnson will
Dave
still
Johnson will be doing that.
helping us through that, so. So anyway, I feel that it is in the best interest of the county to help get our ordinances and resolutions and permit processes so that we are not overstepping, but not representing the citizens. And I think the citizens are pretty loud in saying that, you know, they're not signing the agreements at this time in Wright County.
Right.
And that's what the elected officials are here to do, is to represent the citizens.
Understood. Is there any other input?
Hi, this is Julie, and I'm just want to really encourage you to pass these ordinances and do something. I guess we need, landowners need protection. This pipeline goes very close to our home, and just real concerned about the safety, and I'm just wanting to see some setback limits, especially. That's
And
all.
Julie, is that Julie Glade?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
All right,
so
thank you.
GLADE.
Yeah.
She was you were a Hill, correct?
Yes, correct. Myron and
Okay.
Dorland.
All right,
Yep.
yep, okay. So she is an impacted landowner that has not signed a voluntary easement. I met
Yep.
her on the, down at the Iowa Utility Board. She was at that meeting also. Anyone else? Okay, Carl, do you have any further input?
No, I don't. I'm good with the motion.
Okay. Okay.
I have no, I'm good with it.
All right. Hearing no further comments, I would consider a motion to approve hiring Allers and Cooney to represent Wright County in the matters as discussed in their engagement letter.
I would make that motion.
And have the chairman sign.
Right.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve hiring Allers and Cooney to represent Wright County in the matters as outlined in the engagement letter, and to have the chairman of the board sign that engagement letter. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried.
Then there's also the joint representation. Did you have a copy of that also?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
And that would,
that the second letter talks about this is joint representation. Representation where the cost associated with this will be split evenly among the counties that are being represented by Allers and Cooney. Currently, that would be Wright, Shelby, Floyd, Emmett, Dickinson, and Cassup counties.
so as far as representation, this is just a waiver saying that we understand that they are representing other counties. This is a joint thing, and that if they are, I assume, if they're down in Des Moines representing at the Iowa Utilities Board or whatever, then those costs will be split amongst.
Correct, and that is outlined in this letter. Do I need approval on this also?
There's a page at the end that needs to be signed by the board chairman.
Right, and that was included in the previous.
I would
motion.
say that would be included in the
Okay.
previous motion.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was my understanding of the motion. Carl, was that your understanding of the motion when you gave the second?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Is Brian here? No. Oh,
but you want to go ahead and sign both, well, I'll
Absolutely.
jump you, okay,
absolutely.
we have time.
I'll go and see if Brian would happen to be out there.
Yeah.
I can, I'll go.
Good, my chair is caught up in a peaceful electrical.
You got his number, Dave, he's not here.
Oh,
Give me a call.
yeah, would you please?
I sent him a couple of emails last week, Thursday and Friday. But he never responded, so I'm not, he was on vacation. Was he? Okay. And I didn't have his email contact, so.
Hey, you're not doing it. The board meeting, we're ready to okay, what time are you thinking? Half hour? Okay.
Okay.
Perfect, I was signed.
Well, 10 o'clock, okay.
Yes, but they have an easement there to them.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, item number 8, take action on approval of the farm tenant on the county farm to work with NRCS in construction of waterways on the county farm. This was, we felt that we needed to have this on the agenda because we had not had it as an action item. We talked with the farm tenant in the public comments time. but we did not have it for an action item, so we put it on the agenda so that we can take formal action on it, and that can be, if they need a copy of us taking formal action at the NRCS building. So I would accept the motion to approve the farm tenant, or should I leave it that vague, or should I make it specific?
You can do either or.
Okay,
You can
to
probably
approve,
Troy
the-
Watney.
yeah. The farm tenant, Troy Watney, on the county farm to work with the NRCS and the FSA office concerning construction of waterways on the county farm.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried. Item number 9, review and take action on resolution 2023-16 to withdraw from the 28E articles of agreement, which form the Workforce Development Chief Elected Official Consortium for the Work Innovation and Opportunity Act of 2014. It has been brought to my attention that they are still doing work on this, as they had amended the articles of the 28E agreement, but they had not filed the amended 28E agreement with the Secretary of State. Therefore, until that's taken care of, we can't act on second part of that, which is withdrawing from it. So that is in work, and we will table item number 9 until that is completed. Is
And
that-
I'm assuming, yes, and that is exactly right. And I'm assuming that she will have that done today. I think Pocahontas is still doing their resolution to approval to amend.
Amend it?
So I believe they're doing that today. She'll get a copy of that and then she'll be able to file it.
Okay,
So most likely, everything will be done and be on the agenda for next Monday.
and I think that required, was it a 60-day notice prior to
30-day.
30-day? Okay, so we're still within the
Because
window.
we need to have it done by the end of March. So if we have it in next week's meeting, we'll be fine.
It'll be 30 days by the end, prior to the beginning of the upcoming fiscal year.
Fiscal year,
So you
yeah,
have
so we're
May,
we're
June,
still good,
July. So you'll, by May 31st,
I mean,
by then May.
31st.
yeah.
So you have plenty of time yet, but they are pushing forward with it.
So item number 9 is, do we need to vote on that? Probably.
No,
No, good. Item number 9 is tabled. Item number 10, review and take action on the 28E maintenance agreement with the Isaac Walton and Wright County Conservation Board. Eric.
So the Walton Club would like to take over the care and maintenance of the area around the clubhouse, the track range, and one of the old areas that used to contain a shelter house and some campground posts. Conservation Board is agreeable to letting them maintain that area. We drafted up an agreement with Isaac Walton League, also the Humboldt County Conservation Board, because they also are owners of the land. It will allow the Isaac Walton Club to mow and take care of the buildings and the track range. They're responsible for all of that, and it will allow them to put up controlled access on the property. That's been a problem in the past. And it will eliminate us having to take care of a area that is little used except by the Isaac Walton League.
So the 28E is between Isaac Walton, Humboldt County, and Wright County,
Yeah.
correct? Or Humboldt County Conservation. and
Humboldt
Wright
County Conservation Board, Isaac Walton, and Wright County Conservation Board.
Okay. Right. Is there any questions for Eric?
This is just a care and maintenance agreement. This is not an ownership. We
Okay.
still retain ownership.
Right. Okay. Hearing no further comments, I would accept a motion to approve the 28E maintenance agreement with Isaac Walton and the Wright County Conservation Board and the Humboldt County Conservation Board.
motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the 28E maintenance agreement with Isaac Walton, Wright County Conservation Board and the Humboldt County Conservation Board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And you'll file that 2080 agreement? And you'll file the 2080 agreement with the Secretary of State's office?
Sure,
Or would you like me to?
sure.
And
Seems how you're well versed in that process, I would like rely on you and your office to do that.
okay, do you have, is all the signatures done on the
They
2080?
will be when we get done with,
They will be at the end of this meeting.
Okay, very good. Then we'll do it right after this.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, item number 11, Adam Clemens, Wright County Engineer, secondary roads update.
Quick update, blades last week, as we're coming into spring here, they put on their moldboard extensions, so. The guys can break down their moldboards to 14 feet during the winter and then go up to 16 feet. During the summer, they also did some sundry, the trucks had some winter call outs, and we're also hauling spot rock. We completed 27 work orders, last week, 21 of those were fabrication for a sander shut off on the auger. So I don't know if you guys heard of a situation that happened in Hamilton County where an employee was severely hurt, death was, and it happened because the auger inside of our sander, tailgate sander, they had bypassed a safety valve and it kept running and he got caught in it. So we reviewed our safety protocols on our sanders and created a lockout tagout switch for it. So where they have to actually throw the valve off and it'll pull a pin so they can access the auger area to clean it. So if that's not pulled, they can't access or push that cover down to be able to do it. So they did that on 21 of the vehicles. I don't know if there's any left, but it seems like 21 would be all of them, all the dump trucks that.
Is that a something that can be circulated throughout the engineers? So that
We're
it's
going
not
to
just
actually,
a
I think,
Wright County deal? It's-
yeah, we're going to actually submit it as a mousetrap.
Excellent.
And try to get maybe some federal, kind of federal recognition for it.
Yeah.
Weather events, winter operations, had some call outs over the weekend, and Monday, because of some snow and then that's all I have, so.
On the spot loads, have you had an opportunity or to go up on Page Avenue and take a look at that section of road?
So
or
we
it's
sent 2 motor graders up there to do the best that they could with it.
okay?
It is still frozen underneath,
Okay.
so they bladed as much as they could with it.
Okay.
So they weren't very happy at the end of it, but we did what we could,
Okay.
so.
Rock won't help it.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Time, wind,
Yeah.
sun, warm weather.
Yeah.
You got that in your back pocket, we'll take it.
it's not
If
looking
I
like
had
it's
that in
coming
my
real
back pocket,
soon.
I would be here.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we need, so, but that's all I have. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Brian's on his way right now.
Okay. Update on meetings.
I met with the, all that other pipeline that's going through.
Race line?
Yes, race line. I had a meeting with them, we get filled in, cause I was in Arizona the first time they met with you. And then I did go to their,
Public hearing.
well, it wasn't a public hearing, it was a
Informational.
public, open house at the library.
Okay.
Which was very informative, I thought it went really well. You know, a lot of people are asking me, why are they taking the ditch and why didn't we offer that to Summit? And I said, we did offer it to Summit. But they didn't want to go in the ditch, so. It went very well.
Good.
What is race line?
Race line,
Yeah. Not spelled that way, but. It's R8.
How do you spell, how do you spell it?
RIN.
ROES.
Right here.
ROEIN.
Yeah, but it's pronounced race line.
Got it. Thank you.
And again, the public meeting is because they will be seeking. Easements from the, go in the right of way,
Permission.
permission they have to do that before they can get their permit from the county to go in the right of way, because we don't have the underlying rights to the ground. We have
To
the
give
right of way,
Yeah.
but we don't have the underlying.
our
rights.
permission extends to a public utility to
Okay,
put it in the right of way.
and because they're not recognized as that.
Yeah.
They have to, okay,
And like on field lanes, they said they would be boring underneath field lanes. So they don't disturb them and have to come back every 2 years to re-rock them because of it settling out. They'll bore where they can around tile if they have to, so they don't disturb any tiles.
did they say what size?
I think it's six.
4 to 6,
4 to 6.
they're going at 4 feet.
All right, I have not received any input from the public concerning race line.
I had about 4 calls on it because they didn't know what it was.
Okay.
And which I was stumped a little bit myself because I was gone that period, but I got with them, met personally with them for an hour and a half. It was the last Wednesday or Thursday.
Thursday was the open house, I do believe.
Yes, so Wednesday I met with them for an hour and a half, got the full update on it, and then I went to the open house on Thursday.
I had, I went down early on Wednesday and met with Mark Thompson at the, State House. Him and Jackie, concerning Senate File 356, which was Senate study file.
1125 or something.
1124 and 1125, concerning property tax and putting a limitation of revenue growth at 2.5% for the general basic and 3.5% for the rural basic, or excuse me, 3.5% for cities. So we had a good discussion. I visited with Betty afterwards. She sent some additional information concerning property taxes. So I think that went very well. And then I went over to the Iowa Utility Board and represented Wright County in that technical conference, which again, the final decision from the Iowa Utility Board on the schedule. They said that they thought that it would be 2 weeks, within the next 2 weeks. They would come out with that schedule. They've got the dates. Excuse me, so defined and so. The schedule is so compact that I don't see them moving it. And the public, the input from the public meetings, there'll be 4. Excuse me. There will be 4 different locations where the public can have comments. At those public meetings, the priority will be given to landowners that are on the Schedule H, which would potentially have eminent domain used, and then elected county officials. And then the general public using a for and against back and forth. Those are limited to 5-minute inputs. I apologize. I've voiced my opinion specifically concerning the start of those public hearings is September 13th. The start of the proposed hearing dates run from October into December. with a potential decision by the Iowa Utility Board being made in January. Again, that is the proposed schedule. But again, I voiced my opinion that that just doesn't work for farmers or for landowners. I think that all there feel that way, or at least in the filings that I've seen, including from Carbon Summit Solutions representation of Brent Novinsky, is looking to move those out of that harvest time frame to an earlier time frame. I don't see how that can happen because of the remainder of the schedule, and we can't go back in time. And I sense the Iowa Utility Board's reluctance to move it in the opposite direction because there's pressure from Carbon Summit Solutions representation that, hey, we filed that for that permit, and this is taking longer than it normally should. So again, we'll find out what the actual schedule of events is, I think within the next 2 weeks, but potentially it could impact harvest. Let me see what else. I think that was it. Brian.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you for. We're coming, we'll move to item number 6, Brian Jensen, EMS Director. Request a public hearing be set on EMS issues for May 30th, 2023. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, so previously when I met with the board, I'm sorry for being late, I was getting.
That's okay.
Furnace issue.
Yep. Understood.
With the new legislation, Betty's had timeline, I think I show you guys the timeline. It requires 3 readings, to approve the resolution with a 60-day notice, being published prior to that first reading. So I guess we just need to, if you guys are good with that timeline and getting the 60-day notice published, so we can have that first hearing in May, late May, and then proceed with if special election, if all that would go through.
So again, we're setting May 30th for the first reading of that. And we've set up this schedule so that we can meet the requirements for a special election, because we don't want it on the general election, correct? We want the voters to be focused on this specific issue.
Correct, and that was the wish of the Wright County and Advisory Council. That was their suggestion to have it as a special election instead of the general election. That was their recommendation.
Good.
And did you by chance see all my emails from last Friday? Or have
So
you not?
one,
Okay. So do you have an Iowa Specialty Hospital email or do you have the other one? Okay.
but I was gone last week, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Are there concerns from your office on the timeline that we're setting up
It's
here?
just the special election. He had a PowerPoint and that you had presented when you were here the last time.
Uh-huh.
And they was calling for the special election to be held August 29th.
Okay.
That is not an allowable date to hold a special election. It needs to be September 12th.
Okay.
So, and I called this, because I didn't know where you got the 29th from, and so I was
I
told one.
Tuesday and.
Okay.
So,
So the public measures, special elections for public measures can be held only on one of the dates authorized in Iowa Code 39.2. And so it's the first Tuesday in March, the second Tuesday in September, or the day of a regular city school election on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, or of odd numbered years, so November 7th. And so
Okay.
November
Okay.
7th, so those are the 3 dates eligible for a public measure to be held.
But we're shooting
and
for September
September twelfth.
12th.
Yep,
All right, and we've got the required timeline that we will need all of the notices
yeah,
required.
because then there'll be, and do you have the notice already for the resolution? And
What's that?
do you have the resolution that,
I'm updating the previous resolution now that we did 5 years ago,
Mhm.
still be.
okay? And so on the required 60 days, the notice of the first reading required 60 days prior to the meeting, so the week of March 27th.
Which if we're moving that to September 12th, we can probably,
Give us,
this whole timeline can change just a little bit. Because, we'll have. So 60 days prior to the special election, it needs to be posted, so if that was the 12th, that would be around July 10th.
but you'll still be able to
Yeah.
do that. I
Yeah.
mean, I would rather not push it back in case
Right.
we need to have something, so.
Right,
If we get it to the newspaper this week, it will be in the paper next week.
do we
And-
need to post the resolution, or do we need to just post that we're. That's gonna be the first reading of it? I guess the way I kind of read it, it was just we need to post that
We would hold the first reading
reading of that on
on the
that
30th.
Okay, to be effective, the resolution declaring emergency medical service to be an essential service shall be considered and voted on for approval at 2 meetings of the board prior to the meeting of which the resolution is finally approved by a majority of the board recorded vote as defined in 331.101. Notice of the first meeting of the board at which the resolution is considered and voted on shall be published not less than 60 days prior to the date of the meeting in 1 or more newspapers that meet the requirements. So it just says a notice of the first meeting of that resolution.
So
So,
if we get it in the paper on on March, if we get it there this week,
it'll be
we have to
published,
have it there 60 days before we can take our first action on it,
So-
is what I understand from
correct.
what you just
So
read.
so it'll be in the paper on the 29th
Okay.
of March. So you would have,
2 off. So on the 30th of May,
and that's exactly 60 days.
okay,
Well, I guess my question is, do we need to have the resolution?
Prior to
you have to
that.
publish that, yes, you have to publish that resolution.
Prior to us doing it.
It just says notice
Notice.
of the first meeting of the board at which the resolution is considered.
Okay, all right,
I.
And
read
voted
that as, then at that first meeting, that is when the resolution
Yeah.
is presented. And
Mhm.
will you check with Eric, one of the 2 of you, to
I can,
make sure that we're interpreting that?
Okay, yeah,
correctly?
and then go ahead and put that in the paper and.
So then we need to have it on the agenda, we need to get it in our book that we're gonna hold the first public reading on the 30th of May.
Because then I will have to do a 60-day notice of the election. So September 12th is, and then you go back 60 days. And so by then I have to put a public notice in first part of July
Okay,
that there will be a special election held September 12th, because
Right.
I'll have a 60-day notice.
but we could do the public readings 2 weeks in a row, and that gives us lots of time.
it'll be 3.
3 readings,
Three
3
readings,
readings,
okay.
You
yep,
can't buy
And
that.
we can't waive any of them?
Nope.
Okay.
no.
Right,
And I'll find out, get with Eric today and just have him read that and double check, to make sure you
Okay.
got
Yep.
the same.
thank you.
Perfect.
Anything else, Brian?
And I don't.
We don't need to take any action then today. We just need to make sure that we get it to the paper
this week.
so that we can make the May 30th.
Right, if we need just a notice that that's gonna be, or if we need the actual resolution.
Yes, sir.
So I'll double check with Eric.
Okay, yeah, and I think it looks like to me, it's just a public notice
Right.
of the dates and the reading dates, and then an explanation
Good.
of what is being done.
Okay.
So,
Carl, did you have any questions for Eric? Excuse me,
Brian.
for Brian?
No, I do not.
Okay, does that all sound, it must, because you don't have any questions. Okay. Anything else? Hearing nothing else, I would, and we've completed the items on the agenda. I would accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion carried. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Have fun, Carl.
We are enjoying it.
All right, see ya.
Yeah.